Ever wonder what crimes got people in trouble in the medieval times? While theft, assault, and murder were universally punishable, and still are, medieval folks had a few unique don'ts that would raise modern eyebrows. Laws varied wildly across kingdoms, but certain crimes repeatedly show up in records, crimes that either no longer exist or are so uncommon today that we'd be baffled if someone faced charges for them. No medieval crime list is complete without heresy, speaking or acting against the doctrines of the Church. In places like 13th century France, the Cathar heretics faced persecution. If you were caught openly teaching unapproved beliefs, you could be tried by ecclesiastical courts and possibly burned at the stake. Meanwhile, witchcraft accusations blossomed in many European regions, from the late medieval into the early modern period. Though actual witch hunts escalated in the 16th and 17th centuries, the seeds were there in the Middle Ages. If you had a suspicious herbal remedy, or your cat behaved oddly, you risked being labeled a witch, and that wasn't something to brag about. Punishments, heresy often led to excommunication or even execution. Suspected witches might face drowning tests or trials by ordeal. Modern equivalent: hardly any mainstream Western legal system prosecutes heresy or witchcraft these days. Ever heard the phrase, dress for the job you want? In medieval Europe, that approach could land you in serious trouble. Sumptuary laws dictated who could wear certain fabrics, colors, or ornaments, preserving a strict social hierarchy. In late 14th century England, for instance, a law might forbid lower-class folk from wearing luxurious materials like silk or velvet. If you dared to don a color or cloth reserved for nobles, you could be fined, or worse. Punishments: fines, confiscation of illegal garments, or possible jail time for repeat offenders. Modern equivalent: imagine getting arrested for wearing a designer bag you technically shouldn't afford. It's laughable today, but it was real back then. Now you might pause. Are we actually better off having no sumptuary rules? Absolutely. If your style today is about rocking purple suits while wearing sparkly hats, no one's going to toss you in the stocks. In the medieval world, flaunting the wrong color in the wrong place could be a big no-no. So if your eyes have glazed over, consider this. Next time you throw on that fancy brand or bold color, remember how your medieval ancestors might have faced a stern bailiff for it. That's enough to keep you grateful for modern freedoms, right? Poaching in royal forests was a huge offense in many medieval kingdoms. Forests teemed with game like deer, boars, and rabbits, often designated as private hunting reserves for nobility. If a peasant was caught snatching a deer for supper, the crime was treated less like mere theft of an animal and more like stealing directly from the king. This was sometimes classified as a capital offense. Punishments, maiming, heavy fines, imprisonment, or even execution for repeated infractions. Modern equivalent: modern poaching laws do exist, but you wouldn't be executed for bagging a deer out of season, though you'd still face penalties and fines. While forging and counterfeiting are still crimes today, coin clipping was a classic medieval offense that doesn't really exist in the same form anymore. People would shave off tiny slivers of precious metal coins, often silver or gold, so as to gather leftover scraps, then pass the clipped coins off at face value. Over time, a skilled coin clipper could accumulate enough shaved metal to melt down into new coinage or sell for profit. Punishments: because coinage was the backbone of the economy, punishments were severe: branding, mutilation, or execution to deter others. Modern equivalent: with digital currencies or metal coins of negligible melt value, coin clipping lost its appeal. In medieval times, treason didn't only apply to direct attempts on the king's life. You could be accused of petty treason for killing your lord or forging documents that undermined royal authority. Even offending a monarch or imagining the king's death could be twisted into a treasonous act. This broad definition meant that rumors, conspiracies, or ill-chosen words might end you. Punishments, drawn and quartered, beheaded, or hanged, some of the most brutal executions in history. Modern equivalent: treason still exists, but it's far narrower in scope and typically requires actual acts of betrayal or espionage, not just ill thoughts. Numerous laws targeted behavior seen as morally improper, things like working on holy days, failing to attend mass, or cursing in front of a cleric. In some places, failing to observe religious customs could bring hefty fines, forced penance, or excommunication. Cases of blasphemy also arose, though the line between that and heresy often blurred. Punishments: public humiliation, like the stocks or pillory, mandatory pilgrimages, fines, or short-term imprisonment. Modern equivalent: while some countries still have blasphemy laws on the books, they're not widely enforced in many secular nations, especially not to medieval extremes. Medieval society carried laws shaped by feudal hierarchy, religious authority, and limited resources, leading to crimes we'd find bizarre today. From wearing the wrong color fabric to skipping church, or from clipping silver off coins to spouting heresy, these actions could land a medieval peasant in life-altering trouble. So there you go. Weird crimes in weird times. Subscribe if you want, or don't. Thanks for listening regardless, and have a great day.